guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a video on my Bookish Pet Peeves Part 2. I had a lot of fun filming my first video on this that I did a while back. I will go ahead and link my first video down below, so definitely go check it out because I'm obviously not repeating any of the pet peeves that I mentioned in the first video. The first bookish pet peeve I want to discuss is random characters. Now, I don't necessarily mean like characters that have a small role in a book or a plot. I mean like random characters that are just kind of thrown into the story and they don't really have a purpose. I feel like every character should have a purpose. It could be small, just like there for comedic relief, or maybe there to cause a little bit of drama. It doesn't really matter what necessarily they're there for, as long as they have some sort of role. I can't think of anything specifically at the moment, but I do know that there are so many books that I read where I'm just like, okay, well, what's the point of this character, because they're just really annoying and I don't see the point in this character at all. Like, pretty much if this character were removed, there would be like no change in the plot. Number 2 is when the main character protagonist of the story learns that he or she has magic and they can just use it perfectly right away. The main character usually discovers that they have powers, you know, in their teens-ish, if we're, you know, talking about young adults. And then all of a sudden they are like the most powerful and they can just wield their powers way better than everybody else who has been studying their magic powers, you know, for years before them. I want there to be some struggle with them learning to use their magic and their powers. Number 3 is when the main character is so annoying and lacks character development. So I can get behind an annoying character if there's character development. For example, A Court of Thorns and Roses. Feyre really annoyed me in the first book, but as the book progressed, her character became a little bit less annoying, and as the series progressed, it's a whole new different character. Like, she has amazing character development, and so that's perfect. I love that. But there are so many other books where the main character is so annoying that I need some character development. If the main character cannot learn and adapt and change and be better, that just drives me insane. And also, like, if there's a character that is really annoying, in order to make other side characters stand out, if that makes any sense, like, that bothers me, except for ACOTAR, because the side characters are amazing in that series, and that's an exception. Pet peeve number 4 is when there are foreign languages in a book, but there's no explanation as to what like the foreign language is saying. So for example, in the Raven Cycle Quartet by Maggie Stiefvater, there is a lot of Latin in that book, a lot of Latin, and there's not a lot of translation. I had to make myself stop reading at points and look up what, you know, was written in Latin, because it was, there's a lot of like phrases that are repeated throughout the book, and so I figured that's important, so I really want to know what it means. So I would have liked to have maybe some maybe like it doesn't necessarily have to be necessarily in the book, but maybe at the end of the book it can, you know, there could be like translating as to what it is. Number 5 is when there are multiple point of views in a book and each point of view sounds the same. I like when I can tell the difference between the different point of views in the book. So a lot of times I've noticed a lot of like young adult books have both like male protagonist and the female protagonist, and they alternate point of views. For example, the Legend trilogy by Marie Lu, she does a fantastic job of being able to tell kind of like who is talking, and same with Across the Universe trilogy by Beth Revis. She also does a really good job at like knowing who is talking, like when it's Amy or when it's Elder. But there are some books where it's really hard to be able to tell the difference between the two main characters because they sound the same. Pet peeve number 6. when adults or parents are non-existent in the book, when the main characters are high school or young. You can't have a world of teenagers without adults or parents. And I see this a lot in dystopian novels where like the parents are just, or adults, you know, are completely non-existent. You never see them. And the kids are having to pretty much save the world. It's always a child that has to save the world, and there are no adults. And it's funny because even though this is my favorite series, the Harry Potter series, after rereading it as an adult myself, because you know, when I first read it, I was a child, and now reading it, you know, in my 20s, I'm like, where are the adults? Where are the teachers? Where are the parents? Like, Harry is doing this all by himself with like Hermione and Ron. No, you know, we do have our main adult, like we have Professor McGonagall and Professor Dumbledore, but usually it's just the trio that are getting themselves into trouble, and it's like, where are the adults? Pet peeve number 7 is when a strong character, usually this is in first person, is afraid to say what they want or, you know, like act on something. So, for example, in The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer, she's a pretty strong character, even though she's going through some crazy stuff and, you know, dealing with like severe PTSD. I consider Mara a really strong character. There are times where I'm just like, just say what you're thinking. Like, she thinks it and she's like, I want to say this, I want to do this, but she doesn't. And it drives me insane. I'm like, just say what you're thinking. Just say it. Like, you're such a strong character. Just do it. Say it, do it, tell him. It's just, like I hate it when they're afraid because they're insecure, but they're strong characters, so they shouldn't be afraid, if that makes any sense. Pet peeve number 8 is a new broken book. Okay, so I got Gemina back in December for Christmas, but I hadn't really picked it up until really like this month. This book hasn't really gone many places. Like, it's pretty much stayed on my shelf, and like it is broken. It's like ripping apart in the back, and the spine is just like the entire book is coming off the spine. And I know it's nobody's fault. Like, it just, I could probably super glue it back onto the spine. Oh my gosh, it sucks. Like, that is, I mean, I didn't even, I hate that. Like, when a brand new book you get is like there's a ripped page or there, and I know like no books are in perfect condition, like, you know, they're getting mailed and, you know, moved around and shipped and stuff, so of course they're bound to get a little bit, you know, dented. It still sucks. Pet peeve number 9 is a love triangle that doesn't stand a chance. A lot of YA has love triangles, and it's not the actual love triangle itself that bothers me. It's when the love triangle itself like doesn't stand a chance. Like, there is a guy that the main character likes. For example, let's take Twilight. Bella and Edward. Like, when Jacob comes along in New Moon, like, you kind of feel it. Jacob doesn't really stand a chance, honestly. Like, even though Bella goes back and forth between Jacob and Edward, like, you kind of know. Like, we all know that Bella is not going to leave Edward. Like, we know she's not. And so it's kind of, to me, that love triangle was kind of stupid because, honestly, Jacob really didn't stand a chance all that much. And the last pet peeve, number 10, is weird character names that you can't pronounce. There are so many books, especially fantasy, where like I want to know how to pronounce a character name so that I'm not doing a book review and I'm completely butchering the name. So I will look it up, and like I spend, like for example, I believe in Truth Witch. I don't think there's a pronunciation guide in here. I actually went online and tried to find a way to pronounce all of the different names. Because yeah, there's no pronunciation guide in Truth Witch, and some of the names are unique and I want to be able to pronounce them correctly. A lot of books do have pronunciation guides, like The Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, but it's at the very end. So there's a few, like for example, Riz, I think it's pronounced Ryzand, but I call him Riz, and that's just how I called him throughout the entire series. And then once I saw at the back of the book how it's really pronounced, it's kind of like, well, I'm already pronouncing it this way, so it's hard for me to change how I'm already pronouncing it. But I do really, really appreciate the pronunciation guide. Alright guys, well that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. It was fun to discuss even more bookish pet peeves. Anyways, comment down below, let me know some of your top 3 pet peeves that, you know, really bothers you. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time in another video. Bye!